Hey guys, we are back again. So as you can see, I've got my buckets here and we are ready to go for another pour. So we're going to be doing vinyl records today. Vinyl records are my favorite. It's how I got started with the acrylic pours. So as you can see, I don't cover the label on these, and that's because it just feels not right to cover up the label and just create a big circle of acrylic pour. So find your favorite band, find your favorite vinyl record, and let's get started. So today this is the vinyl I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using Sam Harris. I love him. Look at that handsome face. So find a vinyl that you love. This is the album cover. I like to use the colors from the album cover as well in my record pours. So I'm going to be using a lot of these colors that you see here. So I'm going to be using a purple. Obviously, you can see the purple in the album cover. I'm going to be using some of that white as well to kind of balance some of it out. And then I've got a sweet gold color to represent the plates on his shoulders. So you don't have to use these colors. You can use whatever colors are on your label, or you can use ones that don't even represent your label. That's perfectly fine. So now we're going to go ahead and start kind of dusting it off, making sure there's no loose hairs or anything on the record itself. Once you have that done, we're going to start taping off the label. So when you tape off the label, you don't want to tape too close because the paint will move a little bit. So I like to go to this line right here. It'll probably be either a little bigger or a little smaller on your vinyl as well. But just go to where right before the songs actually start. So this is the tape that I use. It's a 1-inch side blue tape. I really like it. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know. So you're just going to start ripping off some pieces of tape. I like to use those edges and try to form them as best as possible on the edges of the circle here. So you're just going to keep ripping off tape. You want to make sure you kind of go in the same direction through the whole thing. If you start going crisscross or like opposite sides, it may not pull off right and it may be more difficult to do. So this will be a little bit of a longer process here, just like mixing paints is. So take your time with it, make sure your edges feel good to you. They're not going to be perfect, obviously, but you want to make sure that it is a pretty good circle at that. So I'm just going to keep taping off here. We're going to speed it up a little bit for you as well in a second so you can see. And if you have to pull off smaller pieces or bigger pieces, do what you gotta do. You can rip those edges off and make them fit a little bit better if you need to. So just a couple more pieces and then that's that. Okay, there we go. So then I'm just gonna go around all the edges and kind of push them down, make sure they are stuck to the vinyl so that it doesn't move and that when I do pour the paint, it doesn't seep through. So then you're just going to need another cup, plastic cup, it doesn't matter. And then we're just going to start pouring the paints in. Remember, that is a really good consistency that you see there. So these paints are just mixed with the acrylic paint that I use, the latex-based Floetrol, and the white does have a little bit of silicone in it. So go ahead and start pouring in your cup however you want. Just do one step at a time. We're going to top it off with a little bit more purple, a little bit more white, and some more gold. And I think that should be good there. So I feel good about it. You don't have to fill that much paint up. You can always add more later. We're going to go ahead and pour just directly onto the vinyl. We're not going to do a flip cut method or anything fancy. So just try to pour all of that excess out as much as possible. You can pour it in crazy lines. It'll keep that in there. So then it doesn't have any edges like a canvas would, obviously, but we are going to go straight off the top there and then just turn it in a circular motion. If you kind of follow the path and just move it in a circular motion like this, it'll naturally fill all those spaces and you won't have to go back and forth so much. Make sure it rolls off of the edges all the way, that way you don't have any black showing off the vinyl. And then I'm just moving some extra stuff around here and then set it down. If you don't like how it looks, then you can add more. That's what I'm going to do here because it's a little more purpley than I wanted it to. So I'm just going to drag some gold through here. And you can do this as well. You don't have to do it this way either. You can do however you want. Because I'm going to take this white here. I'm going to do a couple of lines. And then I'm going to just start dropping some little dots, kind of make my own version of cells. The cool thing about acrylic pours, you can always add on to it. You can always paint over it. So if it ends up not turning out how you like, keep adding to it or let it dry and then paint over again. So a couple more white lines here and then some more gold, and I think I'm going to be about done with it. So once you feel like you have it figured out here, you are good to go. So I'm going to start using my Huggies wipes here. You'll need them because you'll get messy on this part. We're going to start pulling the tape off. You want to make sure that you pull at an angle and don't pull just directly straight off of the label because you will rip the label at times. So if you pull at an angle and closer to the bottom of the tape, then it'll peel really nicely for you. Another trick I've learned, if you have a label that already looks kind of ripped and torn in some places, if you tape over it, you're gonna rip that part off. So if you want to keep it, you can throw some Mod Podge over it just to kind of keep it glued down, and then once that dries, you can tape over it and start your actual pour. So now we're going to take the Huggies wipes and just kind of pull it around your pointer finger there, and we're going to clean off the label first. The excess paint will dry faster onto the label because it's paper, so that's why we clean the label first, and then we're just going to take it and kind of go around the paint in a circle to give it that look. This is also kind of a tedious process, and this will take a little while to do as well, so just take your time with it. Make sure you like the look of the circle when you're done with it. And as you can see, like, I'm creating some streaks and stuff, so that'll happen. Don't worry about it. Just go back over it and clean it up. This part usually takes me about 5 or 10 minutes, honestly, just to go around and make sure that it's a good looking circle. It's not going to be perfect, obviously, but as long as you kind of make it look equal on both sides, it'll look good. So I sped it up a little bit here because it takes me a while. And I think that looks pretty good there, so not perfect, obviously, but that's what it is. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you here so y'all can see what it looks like. See all the pretty gold and the white and everything, and that's about it. I hope you love the tutorial. I hope this worked out for you. If you have any other questions, let me know. Drop them in the comments.